Welcome everybody to Chilling with c.bo. I am c.bo, your host, or your host c.bo. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm here with my co-host, the one and only. How you doing, Juan?
Not bad, not bad. Just laughing at what you just said.
Yeah, it's been kind of a slow day for me. Haven't been that. This is the only thing I'm gonna be pretty much doing productive today.
Oh. I mean, that's a good thing though. Like, I'm sorry that we have to do it today on a Thursday. It's just
No, it's all good, man.
like tomorrow. For those who are curious, I'm going to switch Syracuse for the day just to pack up the rest of my stuff in my apartment and move it back down here.
Nice.
And,
also, how long do you think that's gonna take?
All day. So I'll be gone from 5, and I should be back by around 10 p.m.
Damn. Ooh, you gonna spend the day there a little bit, like just.
I'm not sure. We'll see. Like, if it's gonna be a process. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's just to get it over with because my lease ends near the end of the month. So I'm just going in and getting everything, dropping off my keys, getting my TV back, and a bunch of clothes that I left up there too.
Okay. So how far is the drive from Ridgefield to Syracuse?
4 hours.
Oh.
4 to 5 hours around that. That's why we're leaving at 5. We'll be there by 10. Have everything packed up by 3. Come back, should be home by 8.
You know, have you that song Holiday Road? You should play that like the whole time you're driving.
I'll just play Country Road.
That too. Just any road song, yeah.
We'll see. My dad's very peculiar about his playlist. So.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to ask: is my AC like too loud, or is everything coming in just fine?
I can barely hear it.
No, mine's okay.
You're okay on your end, yeah.
All right, dope. All right, so without further ado, what you got for me today, c.bo?
Well, after we ended our last show, we were like, what can we talk about next? And then we were like, there's a movie that came out on demand that you were very interested in, and I'm like, maybe we can watch this, and this will be the topic of our next podcast. And that very movie is the King of Staten Island, directed by Judd Apatow, starring SNL's Pete Davidson. So, Juan, we both saw the King of Staten Island. But now, before we start and get into the movie, where did you watch it on? Like, what device or what was your method of watching it?
I saw it exactly where I'm sitting right now, on my laptop, on my desk, eating carrots and hummus with spices.
What application did you use?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime? Okay, nice. I saw it on the PlayStation Network.
Really?
Yes.
All right, that must have been an experience. I never done that before.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, the King of Staten Island was supposed to come out in theaters around this time of the year, but due to the COVID-19, they just decided, hey, we're just gonna put this on video on demand, and that's what they did. And now we're here, and we're gonna discuss the King of Staten Island. So, Juan, what did you think of this movie?
Honestly, I thought it was a pretty good movie. Pete Davidson in some interviews said that it's a love letter to his mother and a semi-biographical depiction of how he's grown up as someone who lost his father to a major catastrophic event. In the movie, his dad died from a fire in a building in Staten Island. In real life, Davidson lost his real-life father during the 9/11 attacks because he was also a firefighter in real life too. So I thought it was really something like it kind of shows like the mentality and the struggle that kids who grew up with essential workers and first responders as parents, like what they go through when those parents lose their lives on the job. And it was sad. It was sympathetic, and you see him like it's very self-deprecating, the movie on Davidson himself, with how he knows he's for lack of better words, an asshole. How he knows that he doesn't treat people the way that they're supposed to be treated, and you also see him being just very like selfish and very greedy with his loved ones, and that he wants them to keep the same so that they're always worrying about him because he feels like he's lacking that attention. because his father's out of the picture. But at the same time, he won't let anybody help them, because if they do, to him it means that like that they're moving on from the pain that he's feeling, and he doesn't want to be felt. He doesn't want to feel alone.
Yeah. Just the way you describe that movie now, and like with everything, I actually really enjoyed this movie more than I thought I was gonna enjoy it, because before coming into this movie, I'm like, wow, really? Judd Apatow has a Pete Davidson movie coming out? Like, come on. But then I realized, like, in his past movies, and even the movies that he hasn't directed but just produced, he's always surrounded the cast with just up and coming talent that's just about to break through. And now I see, when I watch The King of Staten Island, I'm like, yeah, Pete Davidson right now is just like Seth Rogen like 15 years ago, or like Steve Carell, just right in a 40-year-old version. People who are just about to blow up, and he gives them that push to give them that to how do I say it, to put them on a higher level so people can see their talents and everything. And yeah, I didn't know what to think of Pete Davidson before this. I'm like, this guy, there's something off about this guy. Like, and there's, people were always talking about it. He was on the, like he was on, he was on the tabloids and stuff like that. But like, after watching this movie, I'm like, he's a little weird. He's a little off, but I kind of like him though. I want to see him in more things now, actually, after seeing this. And yeah, he's talented. And yeah, it was, and how you were describing the essential workers thing, and I'm like, this was a really good movie for the moment, even though that I'm sure Judd Apatow had no idea this was gonna happen this year, like, so like making a movie about like firefighters and nurses and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, it was really touching at times, and I'm like, wow, I'm really surprised about this. So yeah, so as you can tell, both of us really like the movie.
Speaking from like, you say you've never like seen much of Davidson's work, and like haven't really like known him as like an actor or like a creator. I have the added benefit that I actually went to see Pete Davidson perform stand up.
Yeah, I know you were. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I went with an ex-girlfriend for Valentine's Day, and we saw not only Pete Davidson perform, but his co-star on SNL, Chris Redd, performed too, along with the main feature of the night being John Mulaney, who is also really good friends with Pete Davidson. And I watch his comedy both as a stand-up comedian, as an actor on SNL, and in the movie. And I love Pete Davidson for the risks that he takes as a comedian, for the things that he says, and how blunt and honest he can be. He's very self-deprecating, not only to himself, but on Staten Island, on the people around him. Like he doesn't hold back. He has no filter, and I appreciate that a lot about him. But I feel like because of that attitude and because of how he presents it, he's very typecasted and limited in the roles that he can have. Like you can't.
I no, like I hear that like SNL isn't using him to his full capabilities.
Yeah, but because there really is no clean way to use him to his full capabilities. Like Davidson is someone that he has
to let loose.
He's a Joe Rogan. He's a Joe Rogan in the making.
Keep going. I want to compare him to someone else. Keep going.
So I say that Rogan's very raunchy.
Yes.
Like a lot like Rogan, he doesn't like hold back, and he's very divisive in terms of his opinions and his comments.
Yeah, of course.
And and Rogan transformed that into just not only a pretty decent stand-up career, but he turned it into one of the most popular podcasting shows in the media. Ever. So much so, he was paid $10 million by Spotify.
Wasn't it $100 million, like the overall deal?
I can't remember. It's either 10 or 100. I know it's a major difference, but we'll look at it later. But he's paid millions upon millions just to exclusively say that he will only be putting his podcast on Spotify.
It's insane.
It's amazing, like how Joe Rogan was able to do that, and I think Pete Davidson's style of comedy and the way that he speaks.
You think he's capable of becoming the new Joe Rogan?
It is certainly possible if he makes the right moves, financially, performance-wise, and has decent connections. I mean, Yeah, he knows John Mulaney, and he's best friends with MGK, who they did that lie detector test with Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
So he had star power when he was dating Ariana.
Speaking of that,
Oh,
Machine Gun Kelly was in the movie too, along with Action Bronson.
yeah, that was so crazy. Like I didn't think Action Bronson was gonna show. Like, oh my god, Action Bronson's got stabbed. Machine Gun Kelly's a tattoo artist. Oh man, but like it was a weird combination of like modern star power, rap, underground rap superstars, and comedy legends. So you got Bill Burr. What's the name of the guy with the buggy eyes?
What do you mean? No, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi.
Loved him in the movie, by the way.
Exactly.
I love him in everything. But actually,
they got the modern day Aunt May to play his mom.
Marissa Tomei, yes.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei. Like they got.
She was good in the movie, by the way.
Yeah, she was. Like she's an amazing actress.
Yeah.
Like she earned that Oscar for My Cousin Vinny, man. She earned that.
I've not seen that movie.
You call yourself a film lover and you've never seen My Cousin Vinny? How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
But anyway,
you know what's funny? When you mentioned Bill Burr, I didn't realize he was in this movie because I feel like they made him look so old in this movie, or does he actually look like that nowadays? Like,
guys, the screaming Boston accented voice that was emanating from his character.
No, like when I saw the movie, I'm like, oh crap, it's actually Bill Burr. Because when I watched the trailers of this movie, I thought it was some other guy. I'm like, but then I looked at his face. I'm like, holy crap, that's Bill Burr. I'm like, whoa.
It was funny, like Bill Burr's from Boston.
Yeah.
And he has a very heavy Boston accent whenever he performs. And then he just converts it not to a New York accent, a Staten Island Irish accent.
Yeah.
Like very heavy,
Yeah.
And it's just perfect. Like it just speaks to like how comedians can be very underrated actors of the craft,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But back to my original point, what I was saying, like Davidson, like Pete Davidson, he's very limited in what he can do as an actor. Like he can only play the stoner or like the kid that's going nowhere or like the young guy rising up. There's not a lot of potential movie-wise for a film career to go where he's not playing the same character over and over again.
I don't know. I think I could see him in stuff he can blend into because like you were comparing it to Joe Rogan. After I watched this movie, and I was thinking, I'm like, Pete Davidson, he's so weird and so odd, but like it kind of reminds me of Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf?
Because hear me out, because Shia LaBeouf is also weird and odd, but he just kind of got lucky and got put into the blockbuster machine. But like obviously, I don't think Pete Davidson's going to be in the blockbuster machine. He's not going to be in the post. He's not going to be front and center of the poster of the new. I don't know, but he's not, or the new Star Wars movie or something. But he, I don't know. There's just this weird chaotic energy coming out of him with like this world weariness that I see that kind of reminds me of Shia. And like, do you see it or like?
Like I said, I see Joe Rogan. Well, I see that exact same chaotic energy, but it's invested more towards just being self-expressive on his thoughts and being entertaining, just being himself.
I don't know if I see Joe Rogan. I guess we're both different, but like,
how do we put a poll on Twitter?
Maybe he's like a little bit, but like, do you agree on like Shia? Like he has this crazy oddball chaotic energy that like.
Well, Shia is like that because he was first off a child actor.
Yeah.
And second, he kind of like became a joke in and of himself, and he kind of went so far to try to like not only he tried too hard to be famous by not being famous. Does that make any sense?
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
He was trying to get the spotlight on him by not wanting it.
Yes.
Like you can tell, like, I could tell that with all the memes and the craziness that he went through, the "just do it" memes that he was doing was very obvious on that. Like he found a way to crack into internet culture, but at the same time he lost his mind. Like I don't know if it was like some sort of breakdown after being in so many Transformer movies, or like, craving for like much more artistic stimulation as an actor, whatever it was, he lost himself. He found himself, and he's a lot better now. But Shia lost himself.
And you don't think Pete loses himself all the time?
I think Pete is lost within himself. I think that as who he is and what he's gone through in his life, and also what he does for a living as an SNL actor who's barely used to what he can do, like I feel he's a self, like he's a drug using, pill popping, self-deprecating humorist. Like, he's not trying to escape the spotlight because he doesn't care about the spotlight. He's just being himself, and people are kind of like forming their own opinions on it. And he could honestly care less what we think.
Okay.
Look, overall, this is my sentiment to people listening. Watch The King of Staten Island. It may be a little expensive, like going to a movie, but I can guarantee you will have a whole new appreciation, not just for the island of Staten Island, because I have my own quarrels with Staten Island. You know that better than anyone. That told you. But
okay.
But like, this movie really makes me appreciate it, like the island and the people in it, and appreciate myself too at a very much more self-love, self-caring level.
Yeah, it's also a pretty human, down-to-earth, touching story about essential workers and how they affect others,
Exactly. And you know what? Honestly, I think that's something we all needed.
All right, so speaking of that, so where do you think Pete Davidson goes in the next 5 years? He has this juice now. I'm sure this movie's getting successful numbers and rentals and stuff like that. Like, do you think he should leave SNL like right now?
Not yet. He's not ready.
He's not ready?
No. I didn't like when Leslie Jones left. She was a big star, but not big enough to leave on her own,
Okay.
Like, she quit being on camera. I don't know if she's still a writer for SNL. I really don't know what she's been up to. But, some people are ready to leave the nest, and they do. Great examples: Maya Rudolph, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler,
Robert
Will
Downey
Ferrell.
Jr.
Huh?
Robert Downey Jr.
Not even. He's rated cast member ever, bro.
But he's successful without it.
Well, in any case, it takes, like, if you are successful in SNL, that doesn't necessarily mean your success will translate into other mediums.
Okay.
So SNL, I think for him right now, he needs to maybe spend 2 more years there, really hone who he is.
I think he needs to be in the writer's room more, probably.
I think so. That's the thing.
Because he co-wrote this movie with Judd Apatow. That's the thing.
Like, this is the kind of movie you wouldn't see on SNL. This isn't the kind of material, and I think he needs to learn to be able to learn what the mainstream's like, to see how he can craft his own style to differentiate himself while still pumping himself up in it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I feel like he just has to spend maybe 1 or 2 more years that's an SNL, create a couple more projects outside of the show, really put his name out there, like really drive it out. Like maybe make another movie similar to this, but about something different, and then he'll be ready.
Okay, so I'm on his filmography and Wikipedia. So his next 3 movies are surprisingly, this is really one surprising one, but he's gonna be in the next Suicide Squad movie directed by James Gunn.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's he gonna be?
It doesn't say, but I know that I saw some like
concept art.
No, like there's like on-set images of him in costume. I don't know who he is, but like he's in the movie, so he's gonna be in a pretty big movie. So we'll see what happens with that.
We're gonna save that discussion for next week, for when we talk about like that Suicide Squad, because that, I feel like it's gonna be a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah, so he's gonna be. That movie comes out next year, I believe, and yeah, it's we'll see what happens with that. But it says he's gonna be the next Marmaduke. Um, yeah.
No.
But there's an interesting project with another SNL star, with Colin Jost, and they're going to star in a wedding comedy called The Worst Man.
Colin Jost?
Colin Jost.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Jost, man. This is a dude that is engaged to Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah. So could you see that Colin Jost and Pete Davidson on a wedding comedy?
You know, it's funny. Like Colin and Pete are both from Staten Island. They've talked about it a lot on SNL. And a couple of times, whenever like local Staten Island newspapers are reviewing performances on SNL, they revere Joe as like this comedy guru who went to Harvard and is very educated and handsome, and they just trash on Pete all the time. Granted, Colin doesn't trash on Staten Island, but Pete constantly does. So, you know, these two are very like opposite people, yet they come from the same place. So to put him in a movie that's about the worst man and kind of like see how that dynamic plays out, I would be very interested to watch that.
Interesting. So yeah, Pete Davidson. I want to see him in more stuff. I guess I'm you know.
Watch his stand up on YouTube.
I guess you converted me. I guess. I wasn't a believer, but now I guess I am. I want to see him in more things now.
You're the second person I converted to Pete Davidson.
So speaking of the King of Staten Island, the person who directed it, Judd Apatow, is probably like one of the most important comedic filmmakers of our modern time.
I mean, yeah, like you're absolutely right. Like if you look at like what he's done, like as just a producer alone, the 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, he did Pineapple Express, Funny People, Trainwreck, which was the opposite of what the name suggests. Like it was like he's created some of the biggest comedy films of our era. He created the ultimate stoner film, the ultimate like what kind of comedy would you call the 40-Year-Old Virgin? Like
I think his comedy, his
coming of age. Would you call that a coming of age film?
No, I feel like they're grown-up coming of age movies that balance real life with ridiculousness. Because like you watch a movie like 40-Year-Old Virgin, it's a completely ridiculous premise, but like the movie is a lot more like, you know, it's a lot more human than the title suggests. And Knocked Up, again, it's about a stoner who has to grow up after he literally knocks up a woman. I have not seen Funny People, but I know that's about Adam Sandler as someone who's has a terminal disease. Have you seen that movie?
I know that Eminem was in it, and I just saw his part and him screaming at Ray Romano.
Yeah. Have you seen This Is 40 or no?
No, I haven't. It's with Paul Rudd and
Leslie Mann, yeah.
Her name is Leslie Mann?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't seen it now, but I hear it's pretty good.
Okay, so speaking of that, so we talked about how Judd likes to, you know, when he makes his movie, he likes to, you know, give the spotlight to people who are on the rise, who are up and coming. And when I see this movie on his filmography, I'm just like, this movie was 5 years ago, but already the main person of this movie is kind of like fizzled out already, and that's Trainwreck. So when Trainwreck came out, like it was a big success, and we were like, whoa, Amy Schumer, she's the next big thing. What the hell happened?
Keywords. Joke stealing.
Ooh.
She broke the #1 rule in comedy. Don't steal the material of other comedians.
Okay.
It ruined her, man. Like, you can hear a lot of her jokes were very similar to a lot of other comedians. I can't really name examples right now off the top of my head. I'm drawing a blank for some damn reason, but the fact of the matter is, like, a lot of her jokes weren't original. They were just retellings through a white woman's perspective. And, you know, it could be funny. It just, the way that she told it, it really wasn't, because it made her seem that she was very full of herself and kind of appropriating, you know? Then the next couple of movies that she let out didn't exactly pop, you know?
Because she wasn't surrounded by that talent, you know.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
well, Trainwreck worked because you had Bill Hader and for surprisingly good acting of LeBron James.
A great director, Judd Apatow, yeah.
You had a lot of like that, but when it came to that one movie where she's with her mom on at a resort, the star power wasn't there. I think it was Susan Sarandon. I think it was her mom in that movie.
Yeah, I like Susan Sarandon, but
Let
anyway.
let me double check that to be sure because.
Well, like, she went to being like, oh my god.
She wrote
Trainwreck. What?
She's the sole writer of Trainwreck.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane. Because this movie was so successful, and we were like, oh my god, Amy Schumer, she's the next big thing. But 5 years can do a lot to a person, huh?
Yeah, the movie's called Snatched, and she was in the movie with Goldie Hawn. Who played her?
Hawn. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's like a 70s and 80s actress, yes.
Yeah, and then like that movie that also came out called I Feel Pretty, which is like a woman who was like not very attractive. She gets hit in the head, and she's like, "I am the most gorgeous woman in the world" or something. It was very, very Yeah, it's about like someone who was very insecure and who had low self-esteem, getting bonked on the head, and now she thinks she's like the hottest shit in the world.
Wow.
How did for a good movie?
So like, Amy Schumer, you think needed like, just I guess you could say that like Trainwreck was just more of the result of a collaborative effort than just her alone. Because like, you know, when we're talking about Amy Schumer in 2020, like it's kind of like, oh, well, it's kind of like she's a has-been now, like already, like. But like in 2015 when this movie came out, it was like, this girl's gonna be the next, like, I don't know, the next big comedic female star.
That would have been Tina Fey.
She would have been like the next Tina Fey, the next Amy Poehler, but like,
Kristen Wiig, man, oh my god, Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, but like, she's not that. She's clearly not that.
She's just one of those actors who
got lucky with one movie.
Yeah, and then just faded into obscurity.
Damn.
Like Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore.
Or Tom Green.
Ooh. Yeah, but yeah, these okay. So like, when I look at all the stuff that Judd Apatow's been involved in, these are some of these movies are some of my favorite comedies ever, and it's like, you know, as a director, it's, you know, it's 40-year-old version, Knocked Up, 20 People, This Is 40, Trainwreck, and The King of Staten Island. What are your favorite of his directed movies?
Directed?
Yeah.
That's a tough call. Let me take a look. Director wise, I guess I'd have to give it. It's a tie between the 40-year-old version and The King of Staten Island. Personally.
Oh, okay. I personally like the 40-year-old version just better. Steve Carell, I think, is, you know, he really just gave 150% in that movie, and that's the reason why we're still talking about Steve Carell, and that's probably the reason why he got The Office, because of that movie.
Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah, but like, yeah, so, but you know, yeah, I do like, yeah, so I like those movies. But like, his producer stuff is insane. Like, he's produced Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Superbad, Drillbit Taylor, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Step Brothers, Year One, which is terrible, but Get Into the Greek, which is so-so. I wasn't really a big fan of that movie. Bridesmaids, which is really good. And, you know, after Bridesmaids, he kind of slows down a bit. Like, and yeah, it's so, as I said, all those movies that, like, some of those, like Superbad and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, are like some of my favorite comedies ever, probably. And like, the fact that those movies had just so many stars, like Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, Jason friggin' Segel, Seth Rogen, all in so young and at the beginning of their careers, who are now, like, you know, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how he has an eye for talent, and, you know, and how he's able to surround all these people together to make some of the most memorable comedies of our time.
I mean, I think Judd Apatow, I can compare him to a news producer, in that he knows how to identify the right people for the right job to tell, and knows how to tell the right story in the right way.
Yeah.
He has an eye for storytelling. He has an eye for comedic delivery, and an eye for the perfect person to portray it. You know,
Yeah.
so much so he started his own production studio. He's credited with pretty much starting a new revolution in movies and comedic cinema. You know,
Yeah.
like
But
like he
keep going. Sorry.
stoner comedies used to be just Cheech and Chong driving down and making like cheap jokes.
Yeah.
Now they got so much more deeper into like the emotions and the mentality that comes to being a stoner, like with esteem and it dealing with like very introspective issues.
Yeah.
And like he's a comedy legend, but he's also, I guess you could say, he's a coming of age comedy legend. And
Okay.
he really turned a chapter on the genre.
So speaking of that, like we're in 2020 now, and like obviously I wouldn't say like he's not at the peak of his career anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not, but like I feel like we're missing a figure in comedy like Judd Apatow, who's rallying all this talent together, because comedies today are like, what are between 2010 and like today, what have been some of the best comedies ever? Like, and like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, are comedies as good as they used to be? Like what happened to them? Like, and like, like I feel like they're never like the topic of conversation for a movie nowadays. Like, because like usually like I don't know, man. Like, do you feel the same way? Like, where are the good comedies, man? Where are the modern classics?
There are probably like good comedies, like um you ever see that movie Easy A with Emma Stone?
Yeah.
That, like, for me, like personally, that was a very underrated one. That was
a
like
long time ago though. I'm talking about like the 2010. I'm talking about like the 2010s. Like.
I mean, comedy isn't what it used to be, in that you kind of can get away with just the cheap laughs now, and like the genre of comedy itself, it's changed by definition as to what it can be.
Yeah.
Have thoughts to that. Like, he changed the way that we review comedy, but everyone's trying to be the next Judd Apatow. Everyone's trying to like entertain and cross boundaries, while also like maintaining a good message, and not a lot of people can pull that off. Like,
do you think a lot of people are just trying to chase him rather than trying to do their own thing?
I think they're trying to do their own thing. They're just going about it the wrong way.
And like, who are some of the best like comedic actors that can like rule the box office today? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like during that time, I felt like the ensemble was just so powerful. Like it was like the 2017 Warriors. Like there's so many, like it was just every movie of his was just so stacked. But nowadays it's kind of like, oh, it's a new Kevin Hart movie. Oh,
like, I've always said this about Kevin Hart. Man is a great stand-up comic. He's a terrible comedic actor, because he only has one character to play, and it's the same one every time. I'm not even lying. Like, he is typecasting. Like, he is very much typecasting, and you can't portray him as much else because he's not funny as anything else.
Damn. Ooh. Shots fired at Kevin Hart.
Look, I have respect for Kevin Hart and the empire that he's built, but not all comedy translates into good comedy. Like, Will Ferrell is the only person I can imagine having done a great job translating his comedy in all mediums of the industry. He was a great actor on SNL. He was a great actor in Anchorman. He was a great stand-up comedian. Like, dude could translate and adapt to the different genres that he was given. As an internet comedian, he could do really well. Remember when Funny or Die originally came out? There was that funny video of him getting yelled at by a drunk little girl who was his landlord.
Nah, I didn't see that.
That was basically a hype internet video that went viral back when Funny or Die was really popular. in like the late aughts, and it translated. It worked well. Will Ferrell is the kind of comedian that can work within any medium, but
But
not.
like, I guess what I'm saying is, I feel like we're missing a generation of comedic actors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like after that generation kind of like hit their peak, I felt like there was no generation to, to compete with them afterwards. You know, I just felt like everyone kind of did their own thing, and like now it's just like, like
You want to look for that generation, you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, and that shows you everyone that shouldn't be doing it. Everyone thinks they're a comedian, but they're not. Everyone thinks that
yeah,
they can be funny, but they're just cheesy, corny, or a sellout. And a lot of social media stars have really turned into that. Like, they overuse the same sound effects. They hype up and use weird images and thumbnails to try to attract attention. Like, you know, the modern era of comedy has really cheapened itself, and you're not really seeing a lot of people try to bring it back because they don't want to, because the formula works already for views and ad revenue. There's no point in being creative.
I guess like I guess we should have appreciated that time. I was of the Judd Apatow, reign. Like
Let me put it this way: I don't watch modern sitcoms like Mom or Blackish. Well, Blackish is a good show. I really should give it a chance, but I don't watch Mom or any of those laugh track sitcoms that you see on CBS, NBC, or ABC.
yeah,
Like, because the jokes cheap. The jokes are cheap, and like the material can only go so far with the talent around it. And that I'm not saying that shows like Mom don't have good talent. I mean, Allison Janney's a hilarious actress, and so
yes.
I forgot the name of the main character of the show, but
Anna Faris, is it Anna Faris?
maybe Anna Faris. Yeah,
Scary movie, right?
yeah,
The
she's
blonde
great,
hair. Yeah,
great as she's great. But laugh track comedy laugh track sitcoms are kind of dying, and they're not really doing that well as they used to. Like,
I thought they were dead. Like
no, like they're dying. They're still around, but they're dying. Like shows like Blackish, Psych, comedy TV shows like Modern Family, that don't use a laugh track to try to get people to laugh, but just use the moment to try to like accentuate the comedy. That's where that's really good. That's adapting to a generation that's actually paying attention to what they're watching. They don't need puns or just comeback lines to get in a laugh track just to make you laugh. Like, those days are over.
well, I guess because our generation and the generation after us are just craving good storytelling over, just the laugh track. Because I feel like, back in the '90s when NBC comedies were at their height, it was just the right people at the right time making those things. But like once those shows reach their end, it's like, oh, like what do we do now? It's like everyone who made those comedies good or responsible for them, they kind of went on and did their own thing, and now we're just kind of dealing with the scraps.
I mean, I still like watch old comedies, most sitcom comedies, like
Yeah, because it's like I said about this Judd Apatow era. It's like it's just all the right people at all the right times surrounding themselves and making good stuff.
I'm trying to think of this one show that I watched clips of on YouTube, uh, where the main character was like, oh, married with children.
Yeah,
Like, I watch old YouTube videos of that, and it still makes me laugh. Granted, at the time the comedy was a little crude for what it could be now. A lot of the jokes there wouldn't work in today's times, but it still makes me laugh because it takes chances, and it's bold and it's funny. And I also watch reruns of Frasier, like on Netflix and on YouTube, because it was an intelligent show that knew how to use a laugh track, not to like make crappy puns and to like accentuate bad jokes, but to tell comedic jokes and use the actual reaction of the audience to show like a genuine moment.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I like old laugh track stuff like Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I liked Friends.
Shows like The Big Bang Theory and Two and a Half Men kind of oversaturated the use of the laugh track, and
Yeah, yeah.
like it just ruined sitcoms for everyone.
It wasn't even like a real laugh. It was like it was artificial. It wasn't real people watching the show. At least back in the day, real people were actually watching the show, on a live stage.
Then they got rid of the people.
Yeah, I guess because it's cheaper.
Yeah, they do the same thing on kid shows.
Yeah, and like it's so obvious, like how Drake and Josh and like iCarly and like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. It's the same exact laugh track with the same exact sound effects.
No, you hear like they do these behind the scenes like takes on like, oh yeah, we just love seeing the audience and we just love like making them laugh and stuff. Like there's an audience, but you're not using their laughter. You're just editing in like soundtrack laughter over the actual audience laughter because you know you're not funny.
Yeah. So yeah, comedies today. We hope they make a comeback. We hope a good generation of people just come together and make some good stuff.
We really went on a rant there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, because comedies today are just they don't have an identity right now, but hopefully someday they can regain their identity and take more creative chances.
The next Judd Apatow is listening to this. For the love of God, save us.
Yes, please. Make another Superbad or Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Those are
We need those, especially during these times,
Yes.
We're talking about all this ridiculousness about like what comedies are nowadays and like why they're just so like just redundant and just useless.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me think of an article that you sent me earlier today about the NBA. And
what a way to segue into that.
And like for those that don't know, the NBA is continuing games in Disney World with certain rules and restrictions, and they're also incorporating something like called an UVA ring, which basically
Oura smart ring. Every NBA player will wear them.
The purpose of the ring is simple. It can catch when an NBA player has contracted the coronavirus 3 days.
Corona-like symptoms 3 days in advance.
Coronavirus symptoms 3 days in advance of the actual symptoms showing up.
With 90% accuracy.
Yeah. And, that's great. Like, good for you. Like, I get what you're doing. Where was that technology for all the first responders that have been out on the line and doing this?
Oof. Yeah, that's a tough question.
Where was that technology for the hundreds of thousands that have died in this country and continually spread it to others? I get that resources are limited and you didn't know that this was going to happen at the time. So I'll forgive you and plead ignorant and give you your plea of ignorance on it. But did you really think that saving these rings for NBA players was a smart move? You sure you couldn't just have exhibited it on first responders in New York City where the virus was at its peak? God, like priorities much?
Yeah. As I was reading that, I'm like, wow, that it's like, where was this for the other people? Like, why is this just being used? Let me look this up. Was this used in other places, like, or is this just being used now? Because this could have just been invented like yesterday, like.
You can't have invented it just yesterday. This must have taken like a couple months in research to do.
The Oura ring.
And it's on sale. You know how much?
How much?
$300.
Oof.
$400 just to have it in a different color.
Oof. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. How long has this device been around? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
the device. It was developed by the West Virginia University Rockefeller Neuroscience Institute.
Okay.
And I think they didn't start pumping it out until late like in the middle of the year.
Okay. So it wasn't around when the virus was just starting around here.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least we know that but like, Should we really use all of them just for NBA players? Like, why can't we just give them to first responders? Like, yeah, yeah.
Also, couldn't you like make it cheaper to sell to first responders too? $50 instead of $400 just for it to be in a different color.
The hospital should buy that. Not like the first responders shouldn't have to spend anything out of their wallets for that.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, like, they should be provided with that. Yeah.
In any case, like the ring itself, it just looks, it just looks like first off, it looks uncomfortable to wear because it's made of metal with a bunch of sensors in the middle of it. It monitors your temperature, it monitors your heart rate. Like it's basically like it's like a Fitbit for your finger,
Yeah.
And honestly, like the technology is wonderful, but for NBA players who are constantly using their hands to play basketball, who have broken fingers, have you seen Scottie Pippen's fingers?
Yes.
They are ugly. And you putting an expensive piece of technology on fingers that are constantly traumatized by a ball, like, oh God, you're in a world of messed up if you think that ring's not going to get broken at least a few times throughout this whole quote unquote NBA season.
Yeah, but besides us airing out our grievances, but yeah, this NBA season is set to restart July 30th in Disney World, and they're going for it, man. It's gonna happen. And apparently, like, as I don't think we discussed this, but like NBA players, all they can do is just play games and go back to their hotel. They can't go anywhere else, and they have to be away from their families till whenever they get eliminated.
They have to still follow social distancing measures. They can't be within 6 feet of each other in social areas. Like Disney is giving them like these wristbands that allows them in and out of the resort, in and out of certain areas of the resort.
Yeah.
As well as having social distancing alarms, like on bracelets, where like the bracelets can detect if the players are too close to each other for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Like they're really like trying to make this go forward, and it makes me like, as an NFL fan, how are you gonna handle this? You can't make players wear these rings.
There's way more NFL players, too.
Well, there's way more NFL players. It's a much more physical sport, and you can't get these players to freaking go into like a bubble and play these games. You can't contain what's 53 times 32, because that's how many players are like in the entire NFL active roster.
Wait, Juan, now you're expressing concern about the NFL? Didn't a couple podcasts ago you're like, NFL's good, we're starting on time, this season's good?
Okay, first off, I'm not expressing worrying about the NFL coronavirus infection rate. All right, that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is the NFL trying to implement these detection devices into their sport. You can't have NFL players wear UVA rings in a sport that's so focused on hand usage. Offensive linemen hitting with their hands, defensive linemen.
But then you just say, oh man, coronavirus spread, we're good. NFL, we're good. We're good.
I'm still standing by that stance. I'm okay. I'm still standing by that stance. What I'm standing against.
So you want sweaty people to be tackling each other in close proximity. You just said 53 times 12. You just said they can't play in a bubble, and those players are going to be traveling all across the country. And you think the NFL is just going to be like, hey, no, stay in your hotels, guys, don't go anywhere. Those NFL players are going out all the time, like throughout the week too. So it's like they only play one game a week too. So like you can't keep so now okay, like
Makes my original point valid then, because it's going to spread then, and no matter what precautions you take. The NFL with the rings and the social distancing alarms and stuff, whatever you do, it's not going to work, because this is a full contact enclosed sport. The NBA is a much more spread out sport where players maintain distance all the time unless they're guarding someone. But in the NFL, it's tight knit, legitimately like freaking shoe to shoe, shoulder to shoulder on the offensive line alone. So it's this ring. This little metal ring that's $400 You're going to give it to NFL players that they can wear what? Under their gloves? That's mad uncomfortable. I'm talking as a guy who wore a ring underneath offensive lineman gloves. All right? It's ridiculous. And if you think it's going to pan out, it's not.
We'll see what happens. But so okay. So you say this is ridiculous for the NBA, and and the NBA has a lot less people than the NFL. So how do you think the NFL should take precautions now? The coronavirus ain't going anywhere in September, as much as we hate to admit it, unless there's a vaccine. But they say, I read, vaccine's kind of far off. That's what I think. What should the NFL do? 53 times 12.
If that was my job, I'd be paid hundreds of millions to do it. But
You're Roger Goodell. What are you gonna do?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you. Because do you remember a certain man by the name of Dr. Fauci?
Yes.
So earlier today, Dr. Fauci released a full list of things that the NFL should do if they want to have a 2020 season.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up real quick. So he's saying that first off, you can edit out the part where I go, right?
I'm probably not.
Oh, come on, dude. Fine. This is what he said. Unless players are essentially in a bubble, insulated from the community, and they are tested nearly every day, it would be very hard to see how football will play. If there's a second wave, it is certainly a possibility, and which could be complicated by the predictable flu season. Football may not happen this year. So that's the stance that he took. But he basically said that if football wants to happen, you have to isolate these players consistently after every game, have them tested on a daily basis, which is freaking horrible because symptoms don't start exhibiting of the coronavirus until 2 weeks after
you contracted. Yes.
Exactly. So it's a delayed prognosis. So, they're proposing measures, but it doesn't seem like it's a good idea to have a season at all. Fauci is what Fauci is saying. All right. But for the NFL, if you're asking me, the NFL, what should the precautions be? There's really no legitimate possible precautions you can take to ensure all the players are going to be safe from contracting the coronavirus. There isn't. And you can't promise people that there will be because it's unrealistic. I still want a full season. But just because I want it doesn't mean that it should happen. Objectively, there shouldn't be an NFL season, but fans are clamoring for it, are calling for it. Owners wanted to make money. Players needed to get their money, and it's the biggest sport in America. And to see the whole season canceled because of a virus would be catastrophic on so many levels. And they'll try their best to protect their players, but I can honestly tell you it's not going to be enough. Players are going to get sick. Are they going to die? Not 100% sure on that. Maybe one or two. I don't know. But if you want to take the risk, go for it. But you're playing with human lives.
Wow. So you changed your stance from a couple of podcasts ago, huh?
I've learned. I can be educated.
So wow, is football gonna happen? We don't know.
No, it's not if football should happen. Now, it's not if football is gonna happen. It's if football should happen.
Oof.
Because you want to support the health and safety of players, right? But you also want to deliver on a product that millions upon millions of Americans have relied on, right?
Yes.
So there's a conundrum. What do you compromise? Safety or profitability? And we'll see what happens down the line.
But as of right now, it's going to start on time, right?
So far, they're thinking about they're actually thinking about reducing the preseason in order to
wait it out more, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
It's gonna be an adventure.
I feel like these past 3 months have just been so. It's only been 3 months, but it felt like 3 years in some ways.
It just feels like it's been forever.
Yeah.
And it's affected a lot of us in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
We're getting through. One day at a time.
Yeah. I actually went to a restaurant, outdoor dining, recently.
How was that?
It's pretty good, but it was a Buffalo Wild Wings. And like there weren't that many people at the outdoor dining. It was just at that moment, it was just me and my friend just sitting there.
How exactly did you do it?
So we came in with masks, but at a certain point, like once the food starts coming out, we kind of have to take them off to eat. But like most people were just ordering takeout and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was refreshing to be at a restaurant again, but like it still wasn't quite what it was because there wasn't really people, and people were just coming in and out, just ordering takeout.
Same here with my brother and my friend and I. We went to Five Guys last weekend, and we had to do outside dining. There was only two tables available. We had to wait out this family to leave so we could steal the table.
Yeah.
And we just sat there for, I think, what, an hour and a half.
Yeah. But slowly but surely, New Jersey will probably open up soon.
Absolutely.
But slowly but surely, New Jersey will probably open up soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But hopefully not too quick, because as you see with some states that opened up too early, they see a spike again. So it's like, and like, the fact that what we just talked about, NFL, football players gathering around and fans gathering around, like, it's not even just like stadium gatherings, but like people gathering around to like going to each other's houses and watching games and stuff like that. It's like, we'll see what happens, man.
I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful that like things work out for everyone. And usual message to send out: stay safe, be smart, don't be stupid. Seriously, man. Like people out there who think that they can like be free now that quarantine's lifted and that everything's getting better. It's not, and you're an idiot if you think so. Like, just be safe and don't kill us, please.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on your mind, Juan, that,
I think I said everything I need to say.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We got a little heated today, I feel like, but that's the whole point. We chill and we get a little heated.
It's getting back to the good old days when we used to get into just full blown arguments.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our 4th week in a row. We're going for 5 next week. So yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for joining me, Juan.
Thank you for having me, c.bo.
All right, guys, have a great day, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week, or wherever you guys are at in the week, or have a good day, guys.